Here at the Oklahoman, we've been doing a lot of stories about corrections, county jails, state prisons, and over that time I've gotten a lot of feedback from inmates at both prisons and county jails. For this story, we're focusing on county jails and how overcrowding kind of affects inmates, not just how it affects sheriffs in the county, but more like how it affects the people that are doing time there. One of the letters was really interesting. It's from a guy named Mark Jones. He was an inmate in the Woodward County Jail in 2012 when there was a severe beating where a guy almost lost his life. He has several bones in his face were broken. He almost died. He was taken to the hospital and apparently was in the hospital for quite some time before he was able to get out. Mr. Jones wrote us this letter where he kind of describes the incident. It's pretty powerful stuff, and I'm just going to kind of read what he wrote about that incident in his own words. I was awakened by yelling and screaming from down the run. It didn't take long to figure out that they were booking in two men who were obviously intoxicated. They put the first guy in the drunk tank. It didn't take very long for him to get the whole jail in an uproar. He was cussing and threatening the inmates in cells 2, 3, and 4, which are across from the drunk tank. Not long after that, jailer Collison shows up in front of the cell, and along with Cannon, who is another jailer, I suppose, and the second drunken inmate, they were booked in. 4 of us were standing at the door, and we told them that there was no room and that they should put him somewhere else. At this time, the jailer Collison, tells us that they cannot put him in the drunk tank because he would fight with the other inmate they had just booked in there. At this time, I told them that no way could they put a drunk, irate inmate in our already overcrowded cell. I told her that it was dangerous to put him in our cell. At this point, I believe the drunken inmate singled me out because at this time, the jailer Cannon opened the door and shoved the inmate into our cell and walked off. As soon as the jailers were gone, the inmate came at me and I defended myself. You have to understand that the inmate was severely intoxicated and I was scared. Also, my adrenaline was flowing 100% and I was definitely concerned for my safety. I was put in a very bad situation. When the jailers came back, the inmate was on the ground by the table closest to the door. I was standing on the mat that was on the floor. And at this point, he starts to exonerate one of his fellow inmates and talk about some other stuff. But, you know, these are the kind of things that are discussed in the letter, and it's just kind of a good sample, you know, to read a report and then actually hear from one of the inmates that was in there. Because in the report, it's just, you know, one inmate was beaten almost to death, and that's all they have in there. But, you know, this guy actually explains some of the things that went on before and after the incident.